Good morning, students, and all the viewers who are watching this video. Myself, Dr. Rakhi, Assistant Professor in Commerce from Maharaja Agarsen Mahavidyalaya, Jagadhri. Today, I am going to tell you about company. What is company and what are different types of company? Dear students, from this video, you would be able to know about meaning of company as per section 2 subsection 20 of Companies Act 2013. Also, you will be able to learn about features of a company and a very brief introduction of Companies Act 2013. And the last thing which we will discuss in this video, it would be types of company. The first question that comes into mind is why we need company. And a very simple answer to this question is that when we need more funds, more capital, more labor, more growth, and a very good future prospect, then we seek for a company. In fact, company is a business entity that engages itself into a business or an industrial enterprise. Act 2013 is covering one person company also as a company, which Indian Companies Act 1956 does not consider. So now in general terms, we do not say that company means a group of people. One person company is also a company. As per section 2 subsection 20 of Companies Act 2013, company means a company incorporated under this act or under any previous company law. That means if a company has been registered under Indian Companies Act 1956, then it is continuously operating through that name through which that company has been registered under the previous company law, the company will remain to be a company under the Companies Act 2013. Companies Act 2013 simply defines a company as a registered association, which is an artificial legal person having an independent legal entity with the perpetual succession, a common seal for its signatures, a common capital comprised of transferable shares and carrying limited liability. In fact, a company has different definitions based on the country it is situated in. A more precise, global, and modern definition of a company could be that a business entity which acts as an artificial legal person formed by a legal person or a group of legal persons to engage in or carry on a business or industrial enterprise. So from the meaning and very definition of a company as per Indian Companies Act 2013, the main points which come into light is that a company is an incorporated association. It simply means that a company comes into existence only and only when the company is granted registration by the registrar of companies. That means when an association becomes registered, then only a company is formed. And incorporation procedure involves preparation of many documents like memorandum of association, articles of association, etc. Second thing which comes into light is a company is an independent legal entity. That means a company can be sued and members and companies are different. Company can enter into different contracts, and company can also acquire property or sell properties, assets, etc. So it means that company is an independent legal entity. The third main feature of a company is it is an artificial legal person because it is not a natural person. It is created by law and it is wound up by law. That is why it is called as an artificial legal person. Company has perpetual succession. It means members may come, members may go, but company goes on forever. That means there is nothing like sole proprietorship or partnership firm that a person dies and the sole proprietorship firm is wound up. No, company has a perpetual succession. That means if one member goes out, then another members come in. But it is the most essential thing that company is formed with minimum number of members as prescribed under the law. Company has a common seal for its signatures because it is not a natural person, so ultimately it requires a common seal. The other two features which I have laid down is common capital and limited liability. But I would surely tell you about that common capital means a capital which is divided into number of shares. But company need not to be always a company which is having a share capital. That means a company can also be formed having no shares. So that is why it is not a necessary condition to be a company that company has a common capital. Company has limited liability. Generally, the liability of the members is limited, but it doesn't mean that unlimited liability companies do not exist. In fact, they exist. That is why these 2 points may vary depending upon case to case. So I have laid down it in a separate category. Now comes a very brief about Indian Companies Act 2013. Actually, it is an act which is passed by Parliament of India on Indian company law. This act regulates incorporation of company, responsibilities of a company, directors, dissolution of company, and this act is divided into 29 chapters containing 470 sections as against 658 sections in Companies Act 1956. Currently, there are only 438 sections in this act. It has repealed Companies Act 1956 on 29th August 2013 when President of India has given the assent to the repealment of Companies Act 1956. It has come into force on 12th September 2013 with few changes in previous act. Like earlier, private companies maximum number of members were 50. Now it will be 200. A new concept, one person company is included in this act, and one person company will be called as a private company. So a number of changes has have taken place in the new act, Companies Act 2013. This act is actually come into existence to consolidate and amend the law relating to companies. It has been notified in the official gazette on 30th August 2013, and this act in the very first time it has defined that company secretary as a key managerial personnel of the company. So it simply means that Companies Act 2013 have brought many changes to the earlier law, and it is a more comprehensive and a more precise form of act. It is an act which is which is equally applicable to all the companies that are incorporated under this act, and any company which is incorporated before the formation of Companies Act. It simply implies to all the insurance companies, to all the banking companies, to all the companies which are engaged in generation or supply of electricity. Besides knowing that a specific special act is applicable to all these companies, like on insurance companies, Insurance Act 1938 is applicable. On banking companies, Banking Regulation Act 1949 is applicable. Besides these, the companies have to follow the Companies Act 2013. So now a question comes into mind, that what type of company a group of person should undertake. That means in which they should invest their capital. When we deeply think about different types of company, we can categorize into many types. For example, on the basis of incorporation, we can define company as statutory companies and registered companies. Statutory companies means those companies which are constituted by a special act of parliament or state legislature, which are specifically made with an intention to provide the public service. Companies Act 2013 will be applicable whether these statutory companies are governed under the special act. Such type of companies include companies like RBI, Reserve Bank of India, LIC, life insurance companies, etc. And the second category, second classification, that is registered companies. So companies which are registered under the Companies Act 2013 or under any previous company law are called registered companies. These companies come into existence when they are registered under the Companies Act and a certificate of incorporation is granted to it by the registrar. Another criteria on the basis of which company can be divided into three parts, that is on the basis of liability. Under this category, the first subcategory is companies limited by shares. It simply means a company that has the liability of its members limited to the amount, if any, unpaid on the shares respectively held by them by the memorandum of association of the company. That means memorandum of association of a company limit the liability of its members to the unpaid amount of the shares being held by a shareholder. This liability can only be enforced during the existence of the company as well as at the time of winding up. Where the shares are fully paid, no further liability rests on the shareholder. For example, a shareholder who has paid 75 on a share of face value of 100, he can be called upon to pay the balance of 25 only. He cannot be liable for the debts which are beyond this 25 balance. That means he is only liable to its unpaid value of shares. The second type of company is companies limited by guarantee. As the name suggests, it is a company that has the liability of its members limited to such amount as the members may respectively undertake by the memorandum to contribute to the assets of the company in the event of its being wound up. So it is clearly mentioned under the Companies Act that in case of companies limited by guarantee, the members are liable only and only in that situation when the company is under the winding up process. So the members of such company are placed in the position of guarantors of company's debts up to the agreed amount only. The example of such companies are clubs, trade associations, research associations, and societies for promoting various subjects. These are called by the name guarantee companies. The third subcategory is unlimited liability company. A company which is not having a limit on the liability of its members is termed as unlimited company. The members are liable for the company's debts in proportion to the respective interest in the company, and their liability is always unlimited. Whether such type of company is having share capital or this is a company not having share capital, whether this unlimited liability company is a public company or a private company, the liability of the members is unlimited. It is strictly in proportion to their respective interest in the company, and their personal assets can be used for the payment of company's debts. The third classification is on the basis of number of members. There are three types of companies on the basis of number of members. Because I have earlier told you that under Companies Act 2013, there is a possibility that one person company can be registered as a company. So here comes three types: public company, private company, and one person company. Public company is defined under section 2 subsection 71 of Companies Act 2013. And this section simply states that a public company means a company which is not a private company. Section 3 subsection 1 of Companies Act 2013 says that public company can be formed for any lawful purpose for 7 or more persons. That means minimum number of members which are required to form a public company is 7. Section 149 subsection 1 of Companies Act 2013 states that every public company shall have minimum 3 directors in its board. That means at least 3 directors are needed to form a public company. Section 4 subsection 1 clause A of Companies Act 2013 states that a public company is required to add the words limited at the end of its name. So a public company is a company which fulfills all the provisions related to the prescribed sections, that is section 3 subsection 1, section 149 subsection 1, section 4 subsection 1 clause A, and a type of company in which shares and debentures can be transferable freely to the public. That company will be known by the name public company. And one more important thing I would like you to tell, that only the shares of a public company are listed on the stock exchange. That means they have the capability of being dealt in a stock exchange. Private company that is a subsidiary of public company, it will also be considered a public company. Now I have told you about that a company which is not a private company is a public company. So what is private company? It is defined under section 2 subsection 68 of Companies Act 2013. A company which by its articles restricts the right to transfer its shares, limits the number of its members to 200, and prohibits any invitation to the public to subscribe for any securities of the company. That company is a private company. So basically, there are three restrictions imposed by articles of association. If these three restrictions are mentioned in articles of association of any company, that company will be a private company. Besides this, a company has to follow section 149 subsection 1 of Companies Act 2013, in which it is clearly mentioned that every private company shall have minimum 2 directors in its board. And section 3 subsection 1 of Companies Act 2013 says that private company may be formed for any lawful purpose by 2 or more persons. And the last requirement for a private company is under section 4 subsection 1 clause A, that a private company is required to add the words private limited at the end of its name. And private companies are formed basically to enjoy several privileges and exemptions under the Companies Act. The third category on the basis of number of members is one person company. Several new concepts were introduced in Companies Act 2013, which were earlier not in existence in Companies Act 1956. So we can say that Companies Act 2013 completely revolutionized corporate laws in India. One of such was the introduction of OPC, one person company concept. In fact, it has given flexibility to a company. The sole proprietorship, partnerships, which these two forms of business organization does not offer, the one person company concept offers to the starting businesses. So for the startup, one person company is good enough. Section 2, subsection 62 of Companies Act 2013 defines one person company as a company which has only one person as a member. Section 3, subsection 1 of Companies Act 2013 says one person company as private company may be formed for any lawful purpose by one person. Section 149 subsection 1 of Companies Act 2013 says that one person company shall have minimum one director in its board. Its sole member can also be director of such OPC. Some more features are there in one person company. Like one person company can have only one member or shareholders, unlike other private companies. Uh, the best feature of OPC is that sole member of the company has to mention a nominee while registering the company, which is differentiating one person company from other kinds of companies. Since there is only one member in one person company, his death will result in the nominee choosing or rejecting to become its sole member. Generally, it doesn't happen in other companies as they follow the concept of perpetual succession. Besides this, OPC enjoys several privileges and exemptions under the Companies Act. When we want to classify company on the basis of domicile, we can say a company may be a foreign company or an Indian company. Section 2, subsection 42 of Companies Act 2013 says foreign company means any company or body corporate incorporated outside India. That means those companies which are registered outside India but have a place of business in India, whether by itself or through an agent, whether on physical basis or through online mode basis, then that company is known by the name foreign company. In simple words, when a company is registered outside India but has a place of business in India is termed as a foreign company. Section 379 to Section 393 of Companies Act 2013 prescribes the provisions applicable on such type of company. Second type is Indian company. Indian company means a company which is formed and registered in India. This is applicable through this particular Companies Act 2013 Act as well as on the previous Companies Act. Also, there are different forms of company like Section 8 company. Section 8 company is registered as a limited company under Section 8 of Companies Act 2013. For Section 8 company, there is no requirement of registration. When a company holds license granted by central government and the registration is granted by registrar under Section 8 of Companies Act, then that company is known by the name Section 8 company. Generally, those companies which have objects like promotion of commerce, art, science, sports, education, research, social welfare, religion, charity, protection of environment, or any such other object. Those companies which intend to apply its profits, if any, in promoting its subjects or for the social welfare, then those companies are termed as the Section 8 companies. Those companies which intend to prohibit the payment of any dividend to its members, those companies are known by the name Section 8 company. So Section 4 subsection 1 clause A is not applicable on Section 8 company. Simply means Section 8 company is exempted from clause A, which says that for private company it is required to add the word private limited at the end of its name, and for the public company it is required to add the word limited. Section 8 companies are exempted from adding any suffix after the name of the company. Section 8 itself describes the incorporation process of the company, such type of company, application for license, grant of license by central government, and when that license will be revoked. All these provisions are mentioned under Section 8 of Companies Act 2013. The other type of company is government company, which is defined under Section 2, subsection 45 of the company, in which not less than 51% of the paid up share capital is held by central government or by any state government, or governments, or partly by central government or partly by one or more state governments. So government company also enjoys several privileges and exemptions under the Companies Act. Paid up share capital means total voting power, where shares with differential voting rights have been issued. Small company means a company other than a public company who has paid up share capital not exceeding 50 lakh rupees or such higher amount as may be prescribed time to time, and which shall not be more than 10 crore rupees in the future period. Small company means a company which is having a turnover not exceeding 2 crore rupees or which shall not be more than 100 crore rupees. So such type of companies are small companies. Subsidiary company is defined under Section 2, subsection 87 of the company. It is defined as a subsidiary in relation to any other company means a company in which holding company controls the composition of board of directors or exercises or controls more than one half of total voting power, either at its own or together with one or more of its subsidiary companies. Holding company is defined under Section 2, subsection 46 of Companies Act 2013. Holding company in relation to one or more other companies means a company of which such companies are subsidiary companies. The most commonly asked type of company is dormant company, in which many people involved. So it is a company which is formed and registered under the Act for a future project or to hold an asset, to acquire intellectual property rights. So it has a future prospect, but this type of company has no significant accounting transaction. So such type of company which is inactive company, when it makes application to the registrar for obtaining the status of a dormant company, then it is called by the name dormant company. Registrar, after receiving the application from the company, will allow the status of a dormant company to the applicant and issue a certificate. Inactive company means a company which has not been carrying on any business or operation or has not made any significant accounting transaction during the last 2 financial years or has not filed financial statements or annual returns during the last 2 financial years consecutively, the registrar shall issue a notice to that company and enter the name of such company in the registered maintained for dormant companies. Registrar have the power to strike off the name of dormant company from the register of dormant companies which has failed to comply with the requirements of this section. In nutshell, I will say that we have studied different forms of company. But why this come into being? It is due to certain limitations of earlier form of business entities like sole proprietorship partnerships. So each individual has an option to adopt any type of company depending upon several factors like capital, infrastructure, growth potential, whether he wants to go for limited liability company, unlimited liability company, like that. So it totally depends upon the individual objective, whether he would like to go for a company or for any other form of organization. For preparing this video, I have gone through these references. Thank you so much.